Hello and welcome to the Console Shockcast, episode 29, retro and modern gaming chat with me, Trev, and Stu from Playnation Games. Hi, Stu.
Hi there, Trev. You're right. We've had our summer break now.
Yeah, we had a bit of a break. We normally knock one out. Knock one out every 2 weeks.
Knock one out.
And an episode.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. And then we do a podcast as well every 2 weeks. Yeah. We had a bit of a break, didn't we? I was on holiday, and I think you were busy as well. And actually, we haven't seen you for a while because the last one you were around for was when we had John from Digital Foundry on. So
yeah, that was a cracking episode. I really enjoyed that one.
You were pumping iron in the old game, weren't you, for the Ollie Harper one?
I was. God, it was. Sometimes you just get so life just overtakes you sometimes, and
the roid rage that you're on.
The roid rage, and you're trying to please everyone, and you please nobody.
How's the shop going?
Yeah, it's going very well. Are you hearing my Facebook dinging? Does that appear?
No.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, shop's going well.
Stop pretending you get loads of no notifications.
No, I do. They're all from boring groups. What are the two notifications? Something about
Croydon group, Croydon swapping. Well, not that kind, is it? Just goods and stuff.
Croydon wife swapping.
Yeah, well, I think you're on that though. Yeah.
Croydon swingers.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah.
It's got a little parking lot out the back. It's good for that stuff.
It's not.
Not like money.
Don't come around the back.
That's great advice there.
Yeah, don't do that, please. What have I been doing over the summer? I went to Vegas.
Yeah, I don't care. I want to know about the store.
What about the store? No, the store's good. We're going well. We've got lots of retro in.
What is a highlight? You got a highlight at the moment. Yeah, you had that CD32, haven't you? Really good nick in the box. Is that still knocking around?
I think it might be, actually. We might have to have a look at the price of that one.
The thing is, you know what? It's not. Oh, what is it? 250 or something like that, isn't it?
Like that, yeah.
I don't think it's overpriced. I think it's good for the price because it's in the box and everything. It's just because it's just a large amount of money generally.
It's one of those things where if it was on eBay, buy it now, it would sell straight away. So I think we're a little bit lazy by not sort of sticking it on there, but we like to have good things in the shop for people to come in and see.
It's not a big CD32 community.
I mean, we had another one, an unboxed CD32, and we had a guy who really wanted that from Spain, so we sent that out to him. And
cool.
That's about a week ago, and he hasn't got it yet, and he keeps on asking us for a tracking number, so I've got to chase that up.
That gon's lost.
Yeah. But,
we'll give you the boxed one. It's all right, mate.
Yeah, we'll sort that out.
You haven't got another Super Gun in or any Neo Geo or Lakers v Celtics on the Mega Drive?
We've got an unboxed Neo Geo, but no games with it, but we have got a Neo Geo.
Have you got one of the gems of the video gaming?
Yes.
Mega Games one for the Mega Drive. Have you got
that? No, we haven't had that in for years. It's very rare.
It's really rare, isn't it?
One.
School games like Italian and columns and all that shit.
Super hang on.
So you were in LA. You're Las Vegas. Sorry.
Las Vegas, yes. And actually, I'll tell you a funny story about Las Vegas. I was in the shop 1 or 2 weeks ago, and this guy came in America. So I said, "Oh, where are you from?" He said, "Las Vegas." And I said, "Oh, I was in Las Vegas. I love retro games." He says, "Oh, there's an amazing retro game scene. There's loads of great shops," and I saw none of them. I went over there and I was just so busy, I don't know, drinking and seeing shows and stuff like that and doing things. I just, my mind went off about sort of video games, but there's apparently a massive retro game scene and some pretty good shops that I didn't go to.
When you go to Las Vegas, you think of like it's got like a Golden Mile type thing, isn't it? Like the Blackpool one, obviously on a much larger scale. But
exactly.
Is there shops on that? Is it just literally casino kind of type thing, or is there a main town or where the general shopping stuff is?
Yeah, it's a little bit odd because from what we saw, the strip they call it, that's a real mixture of casinos, bars, a few little shopping malls, more bars,
probably off the
casinos. Yeah, so it's on it's basically on each side of a 6-lane highway, really. So it's not. It's sort of pedestrian friendly, and it is, fun to walk up there. But how do you put it? Sort of bluntly, it was very warm, and being outside was, even in the evening, was
uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable, and
not great for game hunting. Then, really, for a whole day.
No, I mean, I did pop into a GameStop, and I stopped into a GameStop.
Oh, really?
And that was, it was all right, just like game. Not really.
Oh, okay.
No, nothing too exciting.
Online, is it just online they do that, isn't it? I think it's not like you or X or whatever that just.
I think what they might do, they funnel it all to certain shops. So when they got a bigger footprint, this is me guessing here, I don't know, but they might put all the retro in, the one on the north of the city.
Yeah, the bigger footfall one.
Exactly. So the retro's all there, and then they kind of direct everyone to that one, and they might have a few members of staff which are a little bit more trained, a bit more clued up about it. But yeah, I didn't see any. I think there may have been some PlayStation 2 games, stuff like that, but not too much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, today we're not so much having a single subject, which is what we normally do. We're just going to go through some things, some thoughts on retro gaming, some sort of quick fire questions to get our opinions on them. And to start us off, I stumbled across an interesting post on one of the retro gaming Facebook groups that I'm in. I sort of started a Mega Drive one a little while ago that's doing fairly well. And I put it on there as well because it triggered me. I'll be honest. It's just I'm not going to mention the name or anything, but the guy he's posted why I don't like the Mega Drive. So to someone in the UK, that in itself, that very sentence is pretty anger-inducing because we're a bit fond of the Mega Drive, aren't we, in the UK?
Well, yeah. I mean, I like the Mega Drive. I think it's a cracking machine.
I think it's the best-selling 16-bit machine in the UK. Fact, possibly in the world as well. Nintendo were a bit better with their sales figures than Nintendo, so that's kind of the jury's out on that. Everyone says, "Oh yeah, the Super Nintendo won. That's it." Well, we don't really know if it did. Possibly, I don't think it did. To be honest, I think it was either neck and neck or the Mega Drive slightly edged it. That's what I think.
To be honest, I've always assumed it did win the Super
Mega
Nintendo.
Drive. The Super Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah, and not taking anything away from the Mega Drive, but I've always assumed it did.
In the UK, I think the Mega Drive won. I wouldn't say by a big margin, but it definitely did. In the US, it maybe just shaded it. Like literally by a handful of units. But in Japan, obviously, the Super Nintendo just absolutely destroyed. It's a bit like the Xbox 360, isn't it? If the 360 did well in Japan, it would have utterly destroyed the PS3 in sales.
Exactly, yeah.
But because it didn't, it kind of evened it out. And it's the same for the Mega Drive. But anyway, why I don't like the Mega Drive. So he's made 3 little points. We're just going to go through them, and we're going to put our opinions on these points. So the first one, number 1, is those backgrounds are always so grey, a few pixels. Show me a background, and I can tell you that it is from a Mega Drive. Thoughts?
Well, I don't think they're so grey. I mean, take.
What's he playing it on?
A black and white TV,
yeah, exactly.
I imagine.
Yeah.
But take, for example, Sonic, and I mean, or Streets of Rage, or any of the shooters that some of the space
Rise Star, Rocket Knight Adventures.
Oh my god! I just
Street Fighter, yeah.
Street Fighter, and I don't know the backgrounds are so great. And he goes, "Show me a background, and I can tell you that is from a Mega Drive." So I don't know what that's kind of proving.
So this guy, I think he's more he prefers the Super Nintendo. So let's say you compared sort of, you can't obviously do you can do a kind of an apples to apples comparison. Like, I don't know, like Mortal Kombat 2. Yeah, it looks a little bit better on the Super Nintendo. There's more colours. But I would say the backgrounds are all grey and dull on the Mega Drive. They're pretty colourful and look good. They're just a bit grainier, I guess. And in fact, for most games like that, the resolution was higher anyway on like the Mega Drive, so that kind of can make up for it. Sonic, yeah, obviously compared to Mario.
I mean, Sonic 1,
colours
2, and
better than
3.
Mario World, actually, if you're just a complete blind well, not blind necessarily, but a sort of a Pepsi Challenge type thing.
Yeah.
You didn't know what the consoles were. You'd assume the Mega Drive was the more colour capable one.
Yeah, I mean, you might say the SNES had more colours, but then the Mega Drive was certainly a much faster machine. And I think we always sort of laugh about mega power and blast processing and things like that. And they're both two different built machines. So the fact that he's saying he can tell the difference between one and the other, I don't think. I'm not quite sure what that's meant to prove.
So point one, bullshit. Point two, again, it's just rolling your eyes type sort of thing. But those buttons on the controllers feel so mushy. On the NES, SNES, and PC Engine, the buttons feel so much better. They give so much response. I assume that means response. You left the E out. So I'll be honest. I think the Super Nintendo controller is better than the Mega Drive one.
I'll have to admit,
there's certain games that the Mega Drive controller is better for. Street Fighter 2 being the obvious one because of the face buttons. You need all the buttons to be on the face, and you can't be doing the Dokens without an arm. I'm
going to say something now. I actually don't like the original Mega Drive controller. It does a great job. It's fine to play with, but the 6-button Mega Drive controller, I think it's absolutely smashing. I think that's really good. That's a good controller, and it's great for Street Fighter.
It's very jarring it is jarring though when you go from a diamond layout of buttons to the sort of buttons all laid out in two sort of rows. And a good example is International Superstar Soccer Deluxe. There's a Mega Drive version of that, and you get really used to having those buttons in the diamond shape, and you get muscle memory on the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah,
and it's really jarring to go to the Mega Drive one, and I find I have to sort of rearrange the button mapping, so I get kind of a diamondy almost feel. And also, like Mortal Kombat's a weird one because they put like block as like the middle column of buttons, whereas on the Super Nintendo it's L and R, which is really easy just to quickly hit with your fingers, and I find it more awkward to use a face button for block on Mortal Kombat. But on the other hand, I find that Street Fighter 2 is way better to play on the Mega Drive because you got all the face buttons and heavy punch, and you don't have to. I always have to reassign heavy punch from L or whatever it's on, or R on the Super Nintendo to a face button. They both have their. I think overall it just shades it, the Super Nintendo controller. Would you say so?
Yeah. Can I read the third one?
Go. Have you got it there?
Yeah, I found it on.
So some truth to it. I don't know about mushy, which is a way. I guess it means the buttons. They haven't got a lot of travel. Too much travel.
No, I think maybe a little bit too much travel, and it doesn't quite feel as responsive. Maybe
awesome D-pad, absolutely awesome.
Yeah, no, is very good.
The SNES shades it, but it's not like the way he portrays it. So bullshit again.
Anyway, number 3, the sound effects are so thin.
Yes.
So as opposed to fat.
I guess so.
Not sure. Only a few games have great sound effects. In brackets, the explosion when you kill an enemy in Shinobi 2.
That's like the only sound effect that's any good on the whole Mega Drive set. 1,000 games.
In brackets, but most effects are so. Lots of crackling noises. So on the Mega Drive, of all the 1,000 games that came up, there's only one good sound effect, and that is the explosion when you kill an enemy in Shinobi 2.
Specifically Shinobi 2. It's like, what's your favourite Mega Drive memory? Oh, the explosion noise in Shinobi 2. It's just the most funniest example. So,
Go ahead.
You go ahead, go on.
I was going to say, I mean, there's so much great music on. Again, I don't want to get what we're going on about, but the Sonic games, Chuck Rock. You know, I remember I used to go to a friend's house, and he used to leave the theme song from that just playing. Streets of Rage. All the voice samples they had as well, and I thought it had a really good. I think the issue is you can always tell at a Mega Drive. I think the Mega Drive, they sort of had I want to say an FM sort of synthesizer type chip.
It's a lot more computery sounding, I guess.
Yeah, so they didn't actually store the music on the cartridge. They gave directions to the chip to make the noise. So it's kind of almost
Yamaha keyboardy.
Yamaha keyboard. Yeah. So it certainly had a different sound, but I never remember thinking, God, this is bad. I like the music on Mega Drive games. I thought it sounds absolutely awesome, and the Super Nintendo, that was different. I might say that's a little bit clearer, especially for voice.
I think it's a bit muffled, if anything.
Yeah. So
I think the best 16-bit in terms of any kind of computer or console in terms of music and sound effects is the Amiga. As in the base spec Amiga. Not that there's any difference with the 1200, but that had the best music. But that would use samples, so people would kind of digitize sounds and then string them together to make a song. So it sounded really, really like real instruments. And that's better than either the Super Nintendo or the Mega Drive. The Super Nintendo is a bit closer to Amiga style than the Mega Drive. I was playing Pinball Dreams on the Super Nintendo, and that is obviously famous for its music on the Amiga because it's awesome. But the Super Nintendo version sounds pretty good. It sounds very close to the Amiga version. But yeah, it's I find voices are a bit more muffled, but then they're kind of scratchier sounding on the Mega Drive. Like Street Fighter 2 is always the example people bring out. But then there's some music on the Mega Drive, like anything. Most of the Konami games have good music. Sonic, obviously. Street Fighter has really good music. The Mega Drive versions of the songs on there. But there's ones that does sound crap. Like one that comes to mind is Terminator on the Mega Drive. That sounds very like bow, kind of like warbly and kind of almost like Commodore 64 almost. Kind of shit Commodore 64. But yeah, I don't think it's. Oh yeah, there's only that. The only good sound effect is bloody killing an enemy in Shinobi 2. I mean, basically all of Sonic has really good sound effects.
There's countless games. It's I think it's I don't know. I think he's been a little bit
just clutching at straws. I mean, you got to consider as well that the Mega Drive is 2 years older than the Super Nintendo. So
exactly.
That's a huge period of time in those days. Well, it still is technology-wise now, isn't it? But even then, things were progressing so quick then. 2 years is like the difference between something sounding like a NES and something sounding like a Super Nintendo or Amiga, which is a massive leap. So you got to consider that as well. And then there's the last bit.
This is funny.
Bullshit as well. That third one, but the last bit. There's only a handful of MD games I like. Shinobi 2. Well, yeah, I guess he does. 3. Golden Axe, Strider, Ghouls and Ghosts, Castle of Illusion, Streets of Rage 2, and Thunder Force 3. And it's just like, there's so much he's missing out on.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, straight away is.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
the Sonic, Street Fighter, World of Illusion. There's so many great shooters on there.
Yeah, Mickey Mania. You've got like the Mega Drive Ghostbusters game, which is awesome. Comic Zone.
Even Premier Manager.
Yeah, I still like that. Yeah.
Yeah, even Premier Manager, even FIFA. FIFA 95, FIFA 96, FIFA 97, ISS.
Basically, any sports game. Game.
Mortal
Kombat. All the Mortal Kombats are good, though they're not maybe not as good as the SNES, but still bloody good.
Well, I don't think that's irrelevant if it's not as good as the SNES, because what we're trying to say there is the Mega Drive. No, it's made a great game, but on some games are slightly better than on the SNES. But a lot of games are better on the Mega Drive.
I would argue that Super Street Fighter 2 is better on the Mega Drive. It's got more voice samples. The cartridge has got a bigger ROM size than the Super Nintendo, so it's got the more voice. It's got an exclusive Castlevania, the new generation, as it's called over here, Bloodlines in America. You got Probotector. I got more Contra Hardcore, I think, in here, or in America it's called that. You've got Shining Force. You've got Stu's favourite, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Earthworm Jim 1 and 2, Shining Force, Wonder Boy, Desert, most of the EA games like Desert Strike, and not just the football ones. It's got loads of flight sims that the SNES doesn't really have any of those. Like LHX Attack Copter, not the best games, but there's a genre that there isn't any of really.
And then you've got all the arcade games that came up, from Sega's past, Outrun, Super Hang On, Afterburner 2, I think was on there. I don't know. I don't think I'll be short of things to
Road Rash, Flashback, Another World. It's just tons and tons of games. There's I guess it looks like someone that's just got into it and has only played the ones that he's read about on
Well, his last comment, he goes, "When I play games on my emulators, it is arcade first, then it's the SNES games I play, then I play PC Engine, then I play Neo Geo, and only a few MD games, Mega Drive games."
Yeah, he just needs to play it. I think he just doesn't know a lot about the Mega Drive in general. But underneath that post, there was a ton of people just basically doing what we did, where they said, "Oh, you need to play this, play that, play this." I mean, even I would certainly say the Mega Drive is superior to the PC Engine, and I really like the PC Engine. I think it's got about the same amount of games, but I think the quality is a little bit better.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, everyone will say Castle Dracula X, but that's that. It has a Castlevania, the Mega Drive, that isn't on anything else. So yeah, it's there's games that I'd never got a PC Engine version like Contra. There isn't a Castlevania on the cards, on the Hue cards. You got to get the CD add-on. So yeah, and it's that's all we have to say about that. Basically, it's all bullshit. That's our conclusion.
Fair enough.
Okay. So I've got a few quick fire things that we could go through and sort of get our thoughts on. We've touched upon some of these already a little bit, I think. So one is, what do you think of repros?
Now we talked
cartridge reproductions, basically.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit in the past. Now I'm fine with them for the simple reason. I think it's a little bit silly to go and buy a repro of Sonic the Hedgehog. We sell that in our shop for $3.99, $4.99. Okay, that's pocket money prices. That's come and buy it from us. That's great. But something like Musha, or one of those games that's really hard to get hold of, and it's hard to find, and if you do find it or you get one online, you're talking, let's say, £100. Now, if I'm little Johnny's 14 years old, he's got his paper round. Okay, right, I just literally can't play that game. There's no way I can play that game other than getting an emulator. But that's beside the point. So I want to play it on the real hardware to enjoy the game to its fullest and actually, see what it was like to play back in the day. I've bought a Mega Drive for, 30 odd quid, whatever it is. And I think to go and get a reproduction of Musha for maybe a tenner or, 7, 8 quid or whatever it is, I haven't really got a problem with that, because the publisher's not losing out on any money, the developer, because they've made all their money years ago. I do think they should always be, made 100% clear this is a reproduction, and usually they are by the bad way they're put together. So the fact that they do look a little bit
Do you
sort of
have any?
ropey.
Have you ever bought? Do you have any in your sort of collection or
I
anything?
haven't. No, I am. Malcolm from the shop. He has bought one from a certain website, and to be honest, he got it for absolute peanuts.
AliExpress.
Yeah, but thanks
Yeah.
for mentioning that, Trev. I was shying away from the actual website it was on.
That's it. Content strike. Yeah.
And he bought a game on there for £3, £3 postage, or free postage from China. It's going to take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, something
What
like
was
that.
it? What game?
Fancy Star.
Oh, right, cool.
2 or 3 or something. So it's a game that usually costs 30, 40 quid. So it's an expensive game.
Yeah.
So he's bought that, and he just really to one, see if it works, see what the build quality is like, and
if it's dirt cheap, like a few quid, then it's kind of like you could just do it, can't you? Take a punt on it,
yeah, exactly. I was £3, free postage from China. I don't know how they make money out of it, but the point is that he'll just get that and see what it's like, and it's a great way to play the game if you can't actually afford the original game.
Yeah.
And there's you can't be a collector and go, oh, I only collect repros. Then you're not really a collector. Anyone can just go on the website and click all the games I want, have them delivered to my house. Oh, I've got my collection. That's not collecting. Collecting is going out there finding it. Collecting's going out there on Facebook, or come to my shop, or going on eBay and finding those rare items and doing deals with people. That's what collecting is, and getting all the stuff in the original packaging. So
yeah.
I've told the staff in the shop that we've got to be fully aware of when people come in with these games, that they're going to say, oh, I've got this game I've seen on the internet, it goes for £100. Actually, mate, it's not the real one here. And we probably won't buy it in, to be honest.
I mean, I pretty much agree with most of that. I think there's an interesting one actually mentioning it, like in the shop. Like I was recently, I'm always sort of on the lookout for games that are in the back of my head that I want, and one I'm trying to get is Probotector for the Mega Drive, which is some 150 quid game. And I've lost out on a few auctions before when I thought I'd maybe be able to get it for a little bit less than that. But I was looking on CX because it's easy just to quickly jump on it as much as you take the piss out of them. They could end up having a game that you're after now. They do retro stuff, and sure enough, they had 2 copies of Probotector for the Mega Drive at 60 quid at their boxed level of quality, which presumably is you might get it with a manual, you might not, but it will at least be in the box. So I was thinking, in the same store apparently, because it does show you, what store it has the game in that you're after. And it was both in the Ipswich store. So I was like, okay. And it was 2 though in that same store. So that made me think, wait a minute, has this dude just got something bought a couple of those off AliExpress or even eBay? Because some people sell repros on there and flip them at CEX. Because the people that work in there aren't necessarily going to be. They might be, especially if they're in their, say they're in their early 20s or they're teenagers. They wouldn't have been old enough to know get into the Mega Drive. So they won't be as discerning about, unless they've got a manager that's like, hey, can you just double check? I doubt the manager there would have a hit list of games that they always should check the counterfeit. He might have just verbally said, oh, yeah, be careful with some games, they might be fake. That's probably about as best as he's done. But with a Mega Drive fake, you've got to open the cartridge up because they can be really good. And something like Probotector, the only things that will give it away if you're not going to open it up are if the box has the Konami logo molded into it.
Yeah.
Even that's not a deal breaker because it might have been a later print run that didn't have the Konami boxes. And also the actual cartridge, if you flip it over on the back, it'll have the Konami logo molded into it there as well. The thing is, if it's like just a Sega logo, that probably might be someone that has got an old sports game, ripped the label off, and made a repro label of Probotector and made a shit cheap ROM, put on a cheap pins and put in there to and close the cartridge up and hey presto, you got a repro. So I don't think they're discerning enough. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're discerning enough to know to look for that. So I thought, you know what, I saw it and I bought them both because I was fortunate enough to have that a bit of spare cash to do it. And if the worst comes to the worst, you could just return them, and you'll get your money back. But the best case example is they're both real, and I can maybe one of them will come with the manual. They might both. If one of them doesn't, I could just keep the one that did, and I could almost actually mix and match. And if one has a slightly crap inlay, I can swap it out. If one has a slightly poor label on the cartridge, I can keep that and combine them into one really good copy and send back the one. I'm just revealing my secrets here about how to annoy CEX, and get your money back. But yeah, so that's what I've done to see. You'd be interested to see what happens.
So you haven't got them yet?
No, I haven't got them yet. No, I'm waiting. They're apparently been shipped, so I'm waiting for them to turn up. But it's going to be really interesting. I was looking at other things. They've got 2 NES Bucky. Actually, got more than that. They've got like Bucky O'Hare on the NES. That's like a £200 game. Sometimes more in good nick for the PAL NES version of that game. They've got like 4.
Really?
Yeah. Last time I checked, they had 4 of them. And I was just thinking, really? There's like maybe 1 or 2 on a boxed on eBay. This is at their box level, by the way. I don't mean loose. This is literally at their boxed level of quality. So again, you might get it with you'll get it at least in a box, maybe a manual. If you're lucky. It's a bit more difficult with a NES game because NES games, the boxes are horrible. So there's way more levels of quality with a NES box than there is a Mega Drive box. But yeah, so I'm not convinced they're getting real things. And there's certain games that you get repros made. I haven't seen Bucky O'Hare repros though. So that might be a one you could, that you get away with. But Probotector, I know there are repros, and I think it's so. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I guess on our next show, I'll be able to tell you what happened with those. But yeah, like I actually mentioned it before that I got another sort of example. I got a couple of Castlevanias for the Mega Drive from them, and one was literally the inlay had really bad water damage, and he'd used another inlay from another game and stuck it to that inlay to reinforce it. And a bit of the inlay was cut out where the Mega Drive logo is to reveal that the Mega Drive logo underneath on the inlay that got stuck to it. And that was selling for £100. I mean, I obviously took it back and got my money back. But yeah, so there's obviously no. I mean, it didn't take. I only had to take the inlay out to know there was something going on with it. So there's no quality control. I mean, if you got a game like Castlevania for the Mega Drive or Probotector, you probably would know, wouldn't you? To wait a minute, let's have a quick little look at it.
I think with the because I think with the reproductions that on all these websites, the fact that they cost £3, they're not there to trick people. If that makes sense.
If they're literally saying this is a reproduction, then you're like,
to be honest with you, they don't. I don't think they say this is a reproduction, but with some things going.
Some of them on eBay are like that, aren't they? They put it in small print, and you end up buying it or something. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. But the fact that on AliExpress they cost £4, they come from China, they usually got a different label on. They're usually in a Japanese shape.
A lot of look crap. The Wily Wars ones look really crap.
Yeah, they've sort of been a stretched out picture, put onto a sticker and stuck on there. And then even if you were to get them in your hand, now I've held lots of Mega Drive games in my hand, and you can tell straight away from the quality of the plastic. Because let's not forget, we've had this problem with reproduction games for probably the last 20 years. When you think about the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy Advance, and let's be honest, maybe the DS as well.
Game Boy Advance has it really bad, doesn't it? Especially with Pokemon games.
Exactly, and if you you get Pokemon games on there on the cheap as well. And I remember having someone brought in a game and it almost fell to pieces in my hand, and it was a DS game, and inside it sort of fell apart, and it almost had a mini SD card within the actual little cartridge. It
wasn't even a ROM chip or anything. It was
it wasn't. It was just like an SD card. So I could have taken that SD card, put a different game on there, and sort of glued it all back together, and then had another game on there. But
did the person know what it was who sold it?
I just want to say that was actually ages ago.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I think I just always politely say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this little problem with this one," or "Oh, we won't take that one." But sometimes, to be honest, for the Game Boy Advance, if people bring in dodgy games that they bought when on their holiday to Hong Kong or something, I'll take it in. We just give a little bit less for it, and then a lot of these copied games you sell for £1 or £2.
Yeah.
The point is they work. People can tell straight away that's a copy, and
like Wily Wars is a good example. Like you just need to type Wily Wars reproduction, and a lot of them are like it's like because that came out in PAL. So the actual real release, it's the standard Wily Wars graphic, which is from the Japanese game, and the blue strip down the left with the Mega Drive logo on it. That's the release. But a lot of the reproductions make it look like the older Mega Drive box styles with the black and white grid, and I'm like, that isn't what the game looked like. But it's cool to do a little fun little thing, where it makes it like what it would like if it came out in 2 years earlier and had the older box style.
But I think it's a good thing that they don't try and copy the artwork to the T.
A lot of times they do, and it's literally...
Yeah, but I'd rather that they actually made the stickers on there or the box look slightly different, so straight away, this is the right one. And
but I know there's on Facebook, there's a few groups of pages where people actually make really good reproductions, and there's a German company that do PC Engine CD reproductions. So they do like Castlevania, and they look frigging perfect. Nearly, you would really even the CDs are actually mastered, so they're not just like a CDR. Yeah, with
those, obviously, I mean, I wouldn't want to be sort of tricked with the wrong ones, but that group in Germany where they really try to take a masterpiece and actually copy it to make it look as good as the original, they're not going to be sold for £3 or £4. You're going to spend 40. So I've seen reproductions where it looks absolutely perfect, and instead
PCE works,
and instead of the Nintendo seal of quality, they'll have the Nintendo seal of quality, but it'll say reproduction on there, so there'll be something slightly different. So you're not. It looks really good, and it will, to the eye. But then, if you actually look at the detail on there, there'll be something on it which won't be quite right, and I think that's the right way of doing it. And
I don't think these PC Works dudes really do that. Obviously, they tell you it's a reproduction. They're not trying to hide that or anything. But the actual because there are people that don't want something that have a reproduction in big text on the back. They want something that looks immaculate, and that's what these guys do. They even make the bloody the little flap that you get that comes in Japanese CD games that's in the packaging that's sort of loose. They make that as well. But I can see that because like Castlevania, like Dracula X is like a couple £100, even more than that.
But that's it. That's what it comes down to is for people they can't afford £200 to pay these old games, and unless you got loads of money lying around and you got time to try and find it. I just think it's a little bit. I don't see the problem that they're doing as long as they're not trying to deceive people.
I mean, some people get like that really is piracy because you're perfectly recreating the original, and then but I'm like, I think it's on the Virtual Console, isn't it? So they are kind of trying to make money out of it. But then you could argue, but I can't go in the shop and buy a disc of this. I have to have a Wii. Yeah. I have to have, so it's not completely like you're screwing them over. And the whole thing with piracy as well is you can't prove that you would have bought that game anyway. You may never have bought it.
The piracy issue is, slightly a sort of mood point because...
I mean, you're going to buy the original if you wanted the original, and that's not going to help Konami anyway. So, it's,
Exactly. Is not going to help them, and okay, if you can buy it off the virtual store for $7.99, some of that money will be going to Konami, but I just feel it's the game was released 25 years ago, 20 years ago, is just still be trying to
Yeah, I mean, I collect PC Engine games. Obviously, there's way more CD games, and most of the best games are on CD. I'm trying to get a PC Engine at the moment. I want to get I actually don't want a Duo, which is the sort of the one everyone should really get. I want to get the original little white one and get the CD unit, the Super CD-ROM that slots over the top of it. That's quite a nice little setup, that, because then you've got the original white one and you've got a CD as well that's not a huge hulking unit like the original CD add-on was. But yeah, the game, like, I would want to get Dracula X, but I would actually rather buy the Repro, knowing it's a Repro, and happy to know that, because even if I get, to get one of the same level of condition that a Repro would be, which is obviously mint because it's brand new and just been made, it'll be like, I don't know how much that would cost. It'd be hundreds of pounds. I'd rather pay these guys 40 quid. And then you don't even know the disc. There could be disc rot. You could buy a sealed copy of the original release of Dracula X, and the disc might be rotting away inside because that was the crappy CD mastering process was in the 90s. Whereas now you could get a perfect repro that will last, forever. That it looks identical. So I would rather pay 40 quid for that, I think.
But the question is, Trev, what would Pat the NES punk say? What would he say?
Yeah, that's that thing, isn't it? So
what would he say?
What is the deal with Pat and the Repro?
Oh, anyone that says anything positive about repos, I think they're down there in the same breath as Hitler.
Yeah,
genuinely, I really think with that fella.
So there are some points there are some really good points when you shouldn't make a reproduction, like if you're cannibalizing another cartridge. Most of the time it's a sports game, so that they may.
That annoys you, doesn't it? That they rip apart worthless sports games that you would enjoy playing.
That's what I'm making. The opposite point is they produce those in massive numbers. Or Sonic 1, that's going to have huge numbers. I don't think it's going to be a problem for someone to cannibalize it to get a shell. Although, to be honest, I think these days you could probably 3D print one, but I don't know. Maybe the thing is you can't get the logo on it.
All these ones made in China, they're made with injection molded, brand new shells, and I'm sure if you go on AliExpress, you can buy, those empty cases by the hundreds.
So you're not even necessarily. That's not even an issue anymore.
I doubt it. But the only way I've seen those cartridges be, ripped apart and put into other things is for the Everdrives.
Yeah.
And I had an instance in my shop where a guy came in. I think he's from the Retro Towers website, who do all the.
I bought Everdrive from an Everdrive.
Yeah, really, really nice guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had all these.
But in your shop.
Yeah, he came to a shop,
cool.
And he bought. I don't know. He bought. We had all these Super Famicom games and Mega Drive games.
He bought FIFA.
He bought all the pound ones. And he said, "Oh yeah, I need the shells, to put the Everdrives in." And okay, I'll happily sell you as many as you want. And I think he took loads of them. And
it was all FIFA and Sonic 1 and all that.
Well, it was lots of Super Famicom games, so it was all these funny Derby Stallion and Mahjong games and.
Oh, your favourite games, Derby Stallion.
Yeah, that is true.
Derby Stallion Saga.
Right, what's the next quick fire question, Trev? Because he's a pretty quick fire.
There's a slow fire at the moment.
Slow fire.
Well, it's funny actually, because the next thing I was going to mention was Everdrive. So, what are your thoughts on Everdrive? Do you have an Everdrive?
No.
Is that because you're getting round to getting one, or you just don't want one?
No, I don't enjoy playing games on Everdrives for the simple reason. Downloading all of the games, 600 Mega Drive games, or however many it was, put it onto an SD card and having them all at your fingertips. I wouldn't know which one to play. I would not enjoy it. I like going out and finding a game and or ordering it from a website, or trading with someone, getting the game, and then that's part of the fun, and then you play it.
So there seems to be a thing where you either play use an Everdrive and that's it, or you go out and collect the originals and that's it. So I'm both. So
you can't be both, Trevor.
You can indeed. I know you can't. Is it possible?
No.
Is it possible?
You can't cross the swords.
An Everdrive automatically
cross the beams
causes other cartridges to self-destruct within 10-mile radius. So yeah, I've got I've got several Everdrives that I've picked up over the years. I've got a Super Nintendo one, I've got a Mega Drive one, I've got a Game Boy one, and a NES one. And I think they're frigging great. But I also collect the games. But I'm not like I've talked about before. I'm not a completionist collector. I'm not out to get all 570 whatever Mega Drive games that came out. I just get the games that interest me, that I wanted when I was a kid, that I read about in magazines. It still amounts to a lot of games, but I've no interest in there's people that are like complete Wii collectors and complete PS2 collectors. You're gonna have so much crap that you've spent money on and you'll never touch. Everything I buy, I want to play. But the great thing is with an Everdrive, I can get the game. It can I can test the cartridge out if I want to, and I get the satisfaction of having the game that I wanted, the original, having the box and the manual and all that sort of joy that you get and seeing it on your shelf. But I can then just load it up, that game, on the Everdrive and never touch the game. I'm not causing any wear on it or anything like that. And even when you talk about the Everdrive N8, which is the NES Everdrive, you've got like things like save states on that. So a really hard game like Gradius. Well, I was able to blast through a bunch of games recently. I finished Castlevania, Castlevania 2, Gradius, and Contra, and Super C. Because I was able to. It's cheating, of course, but I was able to sort of get through those games in over a matter of days, because I could just get through a section, save state that, and then jump back in straight away. So the actual functionality now of those old games is better than it was back in the day. And also you got, I'm not into that stuff, but you got fan translations and all that kind of crap.
I think so. They're good things about it, and I'm not against Everdrives. And if someone offered me one and I was in the mood for one, I'll probably buy it off them. But for me, actually another issue which I heard, I think this was on YouTube or maybe on a Facebook group, that the actual Everdrive chips, they run at a slightly higher voltage.
Yeah.
So it will destroy your Mega Drive or Super Nintendo because of the difference in voltage.
Well, they run. I think the thing is, it's running the game. Although it's only at certain instances when it's loading a game, it draws a bit more power than a cartridge normally would. So it's kind of stressing the hardware beyond sort of its normal specs for a few minutes or a few seconds. But I think Crix, the guy that I know, the Game Boy one that just came out, the Everdrive X7. Which sounds awesome because that's got save states on it, which is great. That he's actually made that as it's got like a much lower power consumption, because there's an issue with the Everdrive, the GB one. If you try and play it in a Game Boy Pocket, it's very difficult to the drain on the battery means it's difficult to flash a game to the cart because it doesn't have enough power to do it. Whereas a regular Game Boy, because it has 4 AA's and it's got more power, it's fine. So I can't use my Everdrive, Game Boy Everdrive, on a Pocket. Well, I can flash a game to it on another unit on a regular Game Boy.
And then play it.
Yeah, and that's fine. As long as I just go straight to the game and not mess around in the menu and flash it again. But yeah, so that's a good real life example of it. But the new one is much lower power consumption and works a lot better with the Game Boy Pocket, that's my favourite Game Boy, because it's just so small and it takes so few batteries. It's just way more convenient. But yeah, it is a little bit of a thing. But but apparently, like the cartridges, these haven't existed long enough for people to start damaging their console. So I don't know if it's ever going to be an issue, or if it will just chop a few years off your Mega Drive or your Super Nintendo, or if it doesn't do anything. We don't really know.
I think
it's kind of a theory at the moment.
A bit of a theory, isn't it? So
probably true. It sounds plausible. But yeah, so you're not gonna you'll pick one up if you see one, but you're not like
yeah, that's it. I mean, for me, well, saying that though, I did go and buy a multi-cart for my NES, which had all the classic games on.
Oh, yeah, like Mario 8 and Mario 9 and Mario 10.
They
actually gave it the real names.
Yeah, it's got about 30 games on there, and it's just these are all the ones I've wanted, and it saves me, digging around in the cupboard to get them all out. So. I did buy one of those, I have to admit. I
was able, with the Everdrive N8, I was able to discover the holy grail on the NES, which is a decent NES football game.
Oh,
there is one. I don't mean that Nintendo World Cup bollocks that everyone thinks of when you think of a football game on the NES, but there was actually a port of Tekken World Cup on the NES. That sort of very first early 80s arcade football game that basically became Kickoff and Sensible Soccer. There's an NES version of it.
Oh, really?
Only came out in Australia and Germany.
Oh.
Didn't come out. Well, there was a Japanese version of it, but it's original Japanese now. It's if you look up Tecmo World Cup football game.
I'll have to have a look out for that.
And it's even more confusing because they've got two games that have a very similar name on the NES. There's a Tecmo World Cup Soccer. This is the one I'm talking about. Tecmo World Cup Soccer. This is that Tekken World Cup conversion, and they've also got another one called what's it called? Tecmo Cup Soccer game. Now that was released everywhere and is mega common, and it's a NES port of Captain Tsubasa. It's good. That's actually quite good, but it's not. It's like a weird football RPG. The one you want to look out for is Tecmo World Cup Soccer on the NES. It's actually all right. It's kind of sensible soccery, and it's actually quite good.
Okay.
There's Konami Hyper Soccer. That's the one you've probably seen in your shop loads of times. That's actually not very good. It's a bit naff, but yeah. But it's bloody rare, this Tecmo World Cup Soccer game.
Yeah.
Never really see it pop up on eBay, and when it does, it goes for a lot. So that's one to look out for. But it never come out in the UK. So, which is odd because you think that'd be a game they would bring out over here. But yeah, come out in Australia. Might have been some other countries in Europe, but never in the UK. Weird. So yes, there you go. A little random NES game to look up. So the other thing, or the next thing, probably be our last one actually. I think we're nearly on an hour. What are your thoughts on modding consoles, like old consoles?
I'm 100% for that. I love a good modded console, because back in the day, I always found that there were so many sort of issues with consoles, especially in the UK. You would have, they would run at 50 hertz when you wanted them to run at 60 hertz. They wouldn't run Japanese games. They wouldn't run American games. So anything that sort of takes away all those limitations to it. And what I always try and do is, when I get a console, is I try and mod it to be the ultimate of that console. For example, I've got a Master System 2. I've got that modded to have 60 hertz, and then I've got also modded to what's the other thing it does? Oh, RGB out, so it gets a wonderful picture and it runs at 60 hertz. So I was really pleased.
That was on
a Master System 2. Yeah, so that's absolutely cracking.
You want to just do that to a Mega Drive, then you can just pop your Master System games in that.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, yes, I was pleased I did that, and I've got a PlayStation 2 that's modded. I've got a Sega Saturn. Well, actually, that's not modded. That's got a cartridge in, but it sort of mods it ever so slightly.
Was it the chap in your shop that did the mods?
No, well, actually, one of the Sometimes it's customers that do it for me, or
Oh right, yeah.
I mean, with the NES, I put the blinking light win. Have you got yours yet?
Yeah, I got mine. Yeah, I've got
Have
a.
you?
I actually bought a an American Super Nintendo because they're very import friendly because they use the same power adapter as a PAL NES.
Have you got your blinking light win though?
Yeah, I got it and I put up. I've installed it. And yeah, it's bloody great. Although, so I use an Everdrive on that NES. So I never have to wear out the even if there was a 72 pin that worked. The one in this American one was a bit dodgy as well.
Yeah,
And yeah, it works great. And obviously, I've got 60 hertz because tons of NES games are run slow and 50 hertz, like Mario and Castlevania. So don't touch it with a barge pole. And it's got. I mean, I haven't bothered trying to RGB mod it. The composite out on the NES is actually all right for me. It's fairly clean. It's a little bit when you sort of, let's say you got a background that's like a very sort of mirrory kind of looking, or kind of the same tile is repeated over and over again. You get a slight sort of shimmery effect when you're walking past it. But nothing that's like, oh my god, that looks horrible. And it's obviously light years ahead of like RF. So yeah, I mean that's a mod that's like a no-brainer. Doesn't cosmetically change the console. You wouldn't know because that's a design flaw. Having a stupid bloody push the cartridge down thing that bends the pins. That's kind of Nintendo have caused that mod themselves. And there's other ones as well, like a good one like the PC Engine, the original white one, the awesome little white one.
Well, I've got my, talking about PC Engine, my Turbografx has been modified for 60 hertz because it's the UK one.
Yeah, you get the RGB
hertz. Yeah, well, it had the AV out on that one.
That PAL one, yeah, that you see on loads of places. Oh, you see a lot of them on eBay, don't you? But I'm tempted to get one. Yeah, they're all boxed up. I'm tempted to get one, but the trouble is they're 50 hertz. So apparently it just plays the US games, doesn't it? You just pop a US game in and it just works. But they're 50 hertz, so it kind of ruins those games. But
that's it. You've got to try and get it. I think mine's been modified. But anyway, it's certainly been modified to play the American games. So it's got a switch on there, so it just changes the pins round, and you can play PC Engine games on it.
That's the thing. I mean, I was tempted. I've been looking for an American Turbografx, but there's a few things that stop me. One is it just the base unit is RF only, so that just won't work because the American RF won't work on a UK telly. And most HD TVs don't even let you have an analog signal anyway. And the other thing you can do is you need to get the CD add-on for it, and that gives you a composite AV jack, and that'd be fine. But you got to get the unit, and it is way rarer than the Japanese one. But I really like the look of I know it is technically worse looking than the Japanese one, but I really like the American Turbografx. Or you get the turbo booster, that whacking great thing you pop on the back, and that just gives you the composite out. And that's what's stopping. Do you get them in? Do you get those in the shop? I suppose you get loads of PC engines, but you probably don't get many turbos.
Not really. No, I think we've had the odd game in for it, but we had a little while ago. Some guy bought in. It
works with so you can put the CD unit in it if you can find one.
There's no problems with that. But this guy bought in recently, actually, Castlevania on the CD for the PC Engine. Oh wow, yeah, really want that. And he brought in the CD add-on and the.
Which one was it? Was it the big briefcasey type?
It was something. It was
Super CD-ROM.
The PC. It was one of the advanced PC Engine.
The Duo
with the CD, yeah, PC Duo, something like that. It was all boxed, really great.
The white one or the black one?
No, it's more like a dark blue.
Yeah, that'll be I think that's the. So what was it? Well, it wasn't an all-in-one unit. It wasn't two.
I'm pretty sure it's no. I think it was the actual console, and then there was a separate unit, and that was blue. But that had changed to a slightly different type of blue.
They go green. Yeah, there's
that had gone a little bit green.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And I said to him, "Have you got a step down converter? Because we've got to test this." And of course,
I think it works for the Mega Drive power
Well,
supply.
he went back to his house to get that, but then he didn't have the video lead for it, so we just couldn't test the bloody thing. So it was so frustrating. I was like, no, I want this, but you know,
it sounds like
we got to test it before it comes in. So
they're bloody confusing because there's so many variations on the PC engine. So the one you probably had, it was either the Core Graphics or the Core Graphics 2, which is kind of greyish, dark bluey, turning green if they're old and not looked after well. Well, they're all old, but not looked after well. And you can have you can pop that into the original CD-ROM unit, which is like a quite a square-shaped, rectangular-shaped thing where the CD-ROM is like a sidecar, like the Mega CD 2, but the other way around, and the CD unit is white, and you put the PC engine in next to it. It can, and there's that. Then there's also one that's the Super CD-ROM, which goes over the top and is way more compact and looks like a Mega a little bit with an extra bit hanging out. But ideally, it's the PC Engine Duo is where both the CD and the card unit are combined into one. But yeah, I'm trying. I might have to get one of those UK ones. And if they're easy to mod to 60 hertz, that's kind of a no-brainer.
I think I've done that. Don't.
Yeah, I'm holding you.
You know, do your research.
I'm sure
first.
I've read somewhere that people have tried to get it to run 60 hertz, but they can't. There's some weird quirk about because they're just hack jobs. Apparently, the motherboard is literally the US turbo one, and they've just like soldered some bits on it to make
it's such an odd machine because it came out. It felt like they hit the market years after.
1990, apparently, yeah. There's a small amount, but almost test marketed on the.
But
UK.
They didn't sell then. So they tried to sell them at, let's say, £200, and then no one bought them. So then I think they're all sold by Telegames.
Yeah,
60 quid or something.
Yeah.
You know, probably 10, 12 years later, and that's when I bought mine. Probably 10 years ago now.
Yeah, and they the great. God, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and it was almost, and I was saying to this guy, "Oh, can you mod it to play PC Engine games?" He was, "Oh yeah, no problem." And he was thinking I had the American, the black American Turbografx, and then he messaged me on Facebook or called me or wherever he did, and said, "Stuart, no, this is the PAL one."
Yeah,
and then he said,
I think it's slightly
I don't know if I
lighter,
can mod
it?
that. It's a different board. It's different this. It's a different that. And I think he had to do a lot more research than he thought he had to do to actually modify it. It wasn't any more difficult. It was just harder to find the schematics and exactly what you needed to do. But he managed to do it all, and it works great. So.
Yeah, the good thing about that one is that sort of made me think, oh, maybe that's the way to go to get a turbo. Is that it's just like you don't need to. It's not RF. It's like a composite built into it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's got the AV out. So because I remember I watched Metal Jesus Rocks video, and he goes, "Oh well, the problem with the Turbografx, it's got no AV out." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, because
mine's got an AV out.
Yeah, the American one, yeah.
And I think I put a little comment on there. Go, oh, mine. I've got the UK one. Mine's got AV out, and
that's annoying, isn't it? Though they only had RF out on the. NEC made you buy a bloody thing called the Turbo Booster. Well, I guess it would have been an issue in 1989 and the early 90s because I didn't start using SCART until the late 90s.
Oh, exactly.
Things. So RF was like the default, wasn't it, in those days? But yeah, now it's a pain because you can't. They won't work on UK TVs without the bloody the booster or modding an RF jack or a composite jack into it. And I think some of those mods are sort of cosmetic changes as well. So if you're not a fan of popping an extra jack on the unit that it didn't have originally, you might not be up for that because it sort of changes the look a little bit. But yeah, ideally you get, I think the PC Engine, the Core Graphics one that I just told you about, the dark coloured one, that has composite out built in. The original white one doesn't. That's RF only as well. But if you get the CD add-on, that adds the composite out. Right. And they're also only powered by one adapter, unlike the bloody Mega Drive. and the Mega CD, which needs 2 bloody adapters. They when you get an add-on, the CD add-ons for whatever combination you're going to do with the PC Engine, they all run off a single power supply. Funny Sega were bloody, could have looked into that in the 90s and would have saved us all, electrocuting ourselves. Although there are power supplies now, isn't there, where you can power the 32X Mega CD and Mega Drive with one plug. You can buy them off the interwebs. Yeah, someone made a plug that does all 3 in one go, which is awesome. They're custom built to order though. So.
Yeah, no, I've seen those. Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything. I think we've gone over an hour actually, haven't we? Blathering on.
We have, yeah.
Well, we're going to be back to normal. We'll have another one again in a couple of weeks. So. What are you going to do if you want to subscribe and like us? Are we on the book of the face?
We're on the face of the book. We're on there under Console Shock. You can find us on Twitter, YouTube under
Console Shock
as well, and search us on Stitcher and iTunes under Console Shock.
So one thing I never actually ask you is, so we talk about your shop all the time, but where the bloody hell is your shop?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Can you answer that question?
I can. I do know the answer to that.
Also,
it's located on 17 The High Street, Croydon, and we haven't moved. Five Guys has appeared, so we're a few doors up from Five Guys.
And also Heart of Gaming, which is that arcade.
Yes. That is in the Whitgift Centre. So come and see us first, spend all your money, save yourself £10, and then go there and
buy that Amiga CD32 that's never going to get sold.
Exactly.
Don't make sure you've got the bloody price on it. You've got to make a living.
I might do. Trev, you want to buy it, don't you? That's what you're trying to get at.
I've already got one.
Is it boxed?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've got a Turbografx though, you know how I feel about those now, so hit me up, mate. Hit me up. But if you get those bloody if you get a CD, cheap. I'm talking cheap though. I don't want any 300 quid, eBay price. All right. Done. Yeah. Handshake on that. Great. Cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.